how much Sukuna respects Satoru Gojo? Or what about Suguru Geto? How much does Gojo's former best friend respect him? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down in today's video. We'll be giving each character a percentage of how much they respect Gojo, starting with the ones who have the least respect and working our way up to the ones who have the most. So let's get right into it with the first character, or well, characters, the Jujutsu higher-ups. And these guys have absolutely 0% respect for Gojo. Yeah, they hate him because of how he constantly disrespects them, ignores their authority, and straight up calls them out for being old and corrupt. So the moment Gojo got sealed in Shibuya, they instantly labeled him an accomplice, expelled him from Jujutsu society, and even made it a literal crime to try and unseal him. That's how badly they wanted him gone. Not only because they hated him though, but because they were terrified of him and his power. Yeah, they thought he was way too strong and way too uncontrollable, so they saw him as a problem. So yeah, they never respected him and always wanted him gone. Someone who does respect Gojo though, even if it's just 5%, is actually Yutahime. Yep, you guys probably thought these two were super close and that Yutahime saw Gojo as a close friend, right? Wrong! Even if they've known each other for years, she absolutely hates him. Yeah, Gojo's always been teasing her and getting on her nerves all the time, so she thinks he's super annoying and really immature. Plus, Geiki has even literally confirmed that Yutahime hates him, though Gojo doesn't even know how much she actually hates him and instead just thinks it's some kind of inside joke between them. That said, she can be at least a little bit nice to him when he's not being a total idiot. They clearly trust each other when it comes to protecting their students, and she obviously knows Gojo is insanely strong. But she does not respect him as a person and think he's super immature and a total idiot. Another character with only 5% respect for Gojo is Kento Nanami. Now don't get me wrong, Nanami obviously knows how ridiculously strong Gojo is. I mean, he's even said that he trusts him and has great faith in his powers and abilities. But he's also said he's got no respect for him. Why though? Well, Nanami is the type who believes in rules and regulations, which Gojo obviously doesn't. So even though they're pretty close, Nanami thinks Gojo is egotistical, super annoying, unserious, and literally even tries to stay away from him. So sure, when Gojo got sealed in Shibuya, Nanami straight up admitted humanity was basically doomed. But again, he just can't respect someone who behaves like Gojo does. Someone who is way higher than 5% though, all the way up at 30%, is actually Yoshinobu Gakuganji. Yeah, I know you probably think I'm crazy right now. I mean, we've all seen that Gakuganji just straight up hates him. He thinks Gojo is a disrespectful, irritating brat who seriously needs to be taken care of. That said, he doesn't want to get on the wrong foot with him, as he knows how strong Gojo is. But then, everything changed after Gojo got unsealed, because when he came back, he straight up slaughtered all the Jujutsu higher-ups. After that, he told Gakuganji that he was now in charge, as Gojo actually trusted and respected him after everything they'd been through, and he saw him as someone worthy to lead the Jujutsu society. And that's when Gakuganji stopped seeing Gojo as just an annoying brat, and actually started respecting him. Next up, let's talk about Toji Fushiguro, at 40%. Now, Toji absolutely hates the elite sorcerer families, and as Satoru comes from the Gojo clan, he despises him. Which is why he took the mission to kill the Star Plasma Vessel, since he wanted to prove that he was stronger than him. And to be fair, he actually did it. He outplayed Gojo and killed him. But yeah, Gojo came back, awakened, and completely destroyed Toji. And that's when Toji realized Gojo had become an absolute monster. So in the end, Toji respected Gojo for his insane strength. But not only that, because right before he died, he entrusted Gojo with the future of his son, showing that he didn't have any hate for Gojo for taking him down. Still, Toji can't be higher than 40%. But moving up to 50%, let's talk about Maki Zenin, Toge Inumaki, and Panda. When these three got asked about Gojo, Maki just said he was an idiot, Inumaki said salmon, and Panda said, yup, an idiot. So yeah, they all think this guy is, well, an idiot. That said, they also obviously know how strong he is, so even if they can't stand his personality, they absolutely respect his power. Someone else who respects Gojo at 50% is Miguel. Now sure, you'd probably think Miguel would be at 0% after getting destroyed during the Night Parade of 100 Demons. But after getting a first-hand experience of just how ridiculously strong Gojo is, he couldn't help but respect that power. However, he still really doesn't like him, since after their fight, Gojo tracked him down and forced him to train Yuta in Africa. So yeah, Miguel does not like Gojo and sees him as a painful nuisance who forced him into mentoring Yuta, but he still respects him a bit and, of course, his strength. Now we've got one of Gojo's first-year students, Nobara Kugisaki, and she's at 60%. Since Gojo is always out on missions and doing his own thing, Nobara hasn't exactly had tons of deep teacher-student bonding time with him and doesn't know that much about him. That said, there are two things she knows for an absolute fact. Number 1, he's an idiot. Number 2, he's the strongest. So Nobara thinks Gojo is a loud, unserious guy who sucks at teaching. But she also trusts him whenever danger comes up, since she knows how insanely strong he is. Moving on, we've got Mei Mei at 80%. Now, Mei Mei isn't the type to fangirl over anyone, but she respects strength, money, and value. And Gojo, he checks all those boxes. So even though Mei Mei thinks Gojo is hot and likes to flirt with him, she only respects him because he's useful, powerful, and good for her business. Staying at 80%, we've got Shoko Yeri. Now, Shoko thinks Gojo is just like a tall kid, annoying and super immature. And oh, she's even called him trash. Despite that though, they're actually really close. And they've stayed close since back to their Jujutsu high days, as Shoko trusts him and always helps him out. Like Gojo comes to her so she can falsify medical reports, even though it's a violation of working ethic and regulations, like when she didn't report that Yuji was still alive. So yeah, they go way back and she cares a lot about him, even though she absolutely still sees him as a man-child. Someone else who thinks Gojo is super immature is Masamichi Yaga, who's at 90%. Yaga was Gojo's former teacher at Jujutsu High, so he knows firsthand just how annoying and a pain he can be. Still, he's always cared a lot about Gojo and admires him for having all that strength and still being a kind person. Like when Geto turned evil, he didn't blame Gojo for not catching him when he had the chance, as he knew how difficult that must have been for him. That said, he does think he's really immature and way too unpredictable for his own good. Next up, let's talk about Megumi Fushiguro, at 95%. Megumi doesn't just see Gojo as his goofy teacher, but he feels like he literally owes Gojo his life. Yeah, when Megumi was just a kid, Gojo found him and stopped him from getting dragged into the Zenin clan. Not only that, but he then looked after both Megumi and Tsumiki, supported them, and basically became their benefactor when they had no one else. So even though he's always thought Gojo was this super weird guy, he'll always be grateful to Gojo for looking after him and helping him grow stronger. So yeah, Megumi has a lot of respect for Gojo, but